Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes exploded in the college football transfer portal this past weekend. Let's talk about the 7 additions they made that are changing the game.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. The college football playoff is here, and FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost every game day. We're also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. So thank you for making me your first listen of the day. We're going to be talking about the 7, count them, 5 plus 2, 7 transfer portal additions that Colorado made over the weekend. 7 in 2 days is legitimately, insane. We're going to talk about Jordan Seaton, the latest on his recruitment and standing, I guess, in the portal. One of the transfers that Colorado brought in has a unique connection to him. Maybe it could help Colorado. Maybe it won't matter at all. And then I'm going to dive into my favorite additions in the portal that Colorado has made thus far and which ones I think will make an immediate impact for the Buffs. So let's go 7 portal additions. The first one that I want to talk about is the one that I actually took a lot of heat for saying Colorado needed, which was a running back. They went out and brought in Richard Young from Alabama. He had 59 total carries, 234 yards, and 5 touchdowns in his career at Alabama. 3 years, was kind of stuck in this era of Alabama running backs that weren't necessarily, or an Alabama run game that wasn't where it was expected to be, I guess you could say. This year, they were very meh as a group. Last year, it was Jam Miller, it was Justice Haynes, and then they also had Jalen Milroe. And so I just think he needs a new opportunity. But I vividly remember being attacked on X for people saying Colorado has plenty of running backs. And I was like, no, they have 4, right? I accidentally said 3. I apologize, but they have 4 scholarship running backs heading into next season, right? You add Richard Young, who as a recruit had nearly 60 scholarship offers from Oregon, Notre Dame, Miami, Florida, you name it. Every program in the country offered him pretty much, right? So he just needs an opportunity. And I think being in the go-go offense, an offense that uses 2 running backs at a time, like 70% of the time, I think that could be a huge, I guess, addition for his game. Like in a way, like he's going to get so many opportunities, assuming he's in that top 3, the top 3 of the rotation, right? I think Brennan Marion's probably going to use 3 to 4 backs consistently, and you need depth pieces. And so I'm very excited that Colorado went out and got a running back. I don't know why so many people were so up in arms about that take. Like you needed running backs last year. You had 4 scholarship running backs really available, and you lost 2 of them by the end of September. Then you had to go to Jayvon Miller and be like, hey, you're kind of struggling catching the ball wide receiver. Why don't you go play some running back? And Cam Michael, hey, we don't really know what we're doing with you. Why don't you play some running back, right? Like Colorado was having to get creative at running back. And I think Richard Young sort of adds, he's a veteran presence and he's hungry because he has a chance to prove like, hey, I just didn't have the opportunities at Bama. So I like Richard Young. They added Leon Bell from Cal, 6'8" offensive tackle, 330 pounds, 62 grade overall in PFF, 65.8 pass blocking grade, 60.1 run blocking grade. Now, I think he is one of the key contenders for the starting role at left tackle or right tackle. It doesn't really matter. I think Colorado's going to have an all-out war at the tackle spots this offseason because they have brought in a lot of offensive tackles. Like there's really no analysis needed for that. They have I lost my number here. Of the offensive linemen they've brought in, right? We'll just count them together. They brought in another offensive lineman over the weekend, but Leon Bell, offensive tackle. Bo Healy from Georgia, offensive tackle. Jayvon Richardson from Missouri is an offensive tackle. Taj White from Rutgers is an offensive tackle. And I believe that is it. So they've brought in 4 offensive tackles, and you also are returning Larry Johnson. And so it's like, okay, like this room is crowded. And you have the true freshman from IMG coming in, right? Like they are bringing in a lot of offense. They have Josiah Amanu, from Colorado, Xavier Payne from Florida. I thought he was from IMG, from Florida. And like you're bringing in a lot of talent across the offensive line. And so it's like, okay, we are going to have so much depth it's going to hurt. And I think that's a good position for Colorado to be in. Ben Gula is another name to look out for as well at the offensive tackle spot. And so you're going to have so much depth at offensive tackle, it's going to hurt. And that's a great thing, because I think in past years, Colorado has really been plagued by not having enough players at certain positions, just because certain positions keep getting injured. Then they flipped Samu Tamanu Pepe, I believe is how you say it. I apologize if it's not. I've been really working hard on my Polynesian pronunciations, because they've been getting me a couple times this offseason. 6'3", 376 pounds. He played in 6 games at Baylor this past season, 2 tackles, so nothing crazy. But went from Texas A&M to Baylor, was committed to Florida, and then Colorado flipped him. So Colorado has been able to flip a couple of guys, right? You basically, Leon Lafond, the linebacker, was expected to go to BYU, and Colorado kind of like swooped in there and was like, hey, actually, come on down. You're coming to Colorado. And then they flip him from Florida. Ezra Christensen is another name who had some really big offers, big programs coming after him. Samu, to me, how do I put this? I don't want you guys to be disappointed in him. I don't want you guys to have these huge expectations for him. Like I think we learned last year with G. Modis, like big bodied guys with limited production at their first stops doesn't mean that they're just going to instantly like dominate. Like Samu has to prove like, hey, I can be a productive player. Now, I said this on the live yesterday or on Sunday, and I was like, if anyone ever looks at you and goes, this nose tackle, or even any interior defense lineman, really, he's not good because he only had X amount of tackles. Like, throw that person out of your life, because a defensive tackle or interior defense lineman, for that matter, isn't defined all the time by stats, right? A lot of the times their job is to eat up blocks. Their job is to clog rush lanes. And if Samu could do that, if they could put him in certain situations and trust him to be disruptive, then that's a win. Like, don't expect him to have like 7 sacks and 30 tackles. That's just not going to be realistic for anyone at that position. They landed a couple of corners. One of them, Jason Stokes from Utah. He's a Florida native, 6'2", Texas native, 6'2", 71 or 70.1 overall grade, 69.9 coverage grade, 3 tackles, 1 pass deflection. Like I like he's a future, or I guess a future. He's sort of a long-term investment in my eyes, right? I think the thing that Colorado has really hit on at times is multi-year investment guys, right? You look at some of the transfers that have succeeded at Colorado. It's like, okay, we're bringing you in for this year, like Jimmy Horn, for instance. Jimmy Horn was a really talented player in year 1. I think Jimmy Horn, minus the injuries in year 2, was even better. And I think that's what really helped him put him on the map. And then he went to the East West Shrine Bowl, and I got to talk to him there. And like, I just feel like there was a lot of buzz and development that he was able to receive. And certain positions have had issues with that development, but I think Jimmy Horn is a prime example of like, hey, you stick around for a couple of years and you could really come into your own role. And I think that's where Jason Stokes comes in, because does he have a chance to start? Absolutely, right? Colorado's defensive back room, or their secondary room, corner specifically, you lost DJ McKinney to Notre Dame. Preston Hodge is going to the NFL, or he's done with eligibility. Tyrekus Davis is gone. Tion Parks is gone. Ivan Yates is gone. So you lost 5 corners, and I'm sure there's more that I'm not thinking of at the moment. And it's like, okay, we need answers here. We need someone to step up, and it's an open battle there as well, right? May the best man win. And I think Colorado's putting themselves in a lot of good positions here, where it's like, we brought in a lot of talent, and we're just going to let the best man win. So they also brought in Paul Omodia, 6'2", from Lamar University, led the Southland Conference in forced incompletions at 14, which was 3rd in the entire FCS. 57 tackles, 13 pass breakups, 2 tackles for a loss, overall grade of a 74.5 and a coverage grade of a 72.3. I like him as well. I think Colorado's corners are looking really good. And then they added Jaja Boyd from Indiana, who has been a part of this playoff run, will not be a part of the championship game tonight. They added him to the mix. I think alongside Nate Mitchell, Brandon Fontenette, Boo Carter, like the safety room's looking good as well. And I think Jaja Boyd is a guy who is looking to prove a lot, I would say. And then lastly, save the best for last, or not really. I guess, well, I think he could be good. Don't quote me on that, but I think he could be good. But the best storyline for sure, Jayvon Richardson, 4-star recruit out of Maryland. Dude's a monster. Like, he is ginormous. He's listed at 6'4", 300 pounds. He's huge. He's also the cousin of Jordan Seaton. And he only played in one game, I think it was at Ohio State. So he's looking to be that guard next to Yaya, right? Because the way I envision it is, if I had to predict the starting five for the offensive line right now, I'd go Taj White, Yaya, the Houston transfer, Pancake at center. I guess you could go Jayvon at right guard, and then right tackle would be a combination of Larry or Leon Bell. So I think he's looking for a clear opportunity to play. I also think or thought at one point he was looking to team up with Jordan Seaton, because Jordan Seaton said, hey, let's team up. And so what does the addition of Jayvon McFadden do for Colorado's chances of bringing back Jordan Seaton? Well, I'm going to talk about that, but first, a quick break. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. Let's talk about FanDuel, because, I mean, you need to get in on this college football playoff action, because the playoffs here and it's going to leave soon. And FanDuel is getting all playoff customers even more ways to get in on the action every single game day of the playoffs. Because right now, every college football playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost waiting for them in the app. Here's what I love about it. You get to use the profit boost on the bets you already feel good about. So you can ride with the favorite, which in this case is Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, or take a shot on the underdog, Miami. Then you apply the profit boost and go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost every game day. Also, if you want to really join a nice and fun club, and that we're starting over here at Locked On. It's called the Locked On Everydayer Club. I really urge you guys to join. It's going to be exclusive information. You guys talk to me one-on-one. You can message me. I'm going to have some exclusive content there. It's called the Locked On. If you want to join, lockedonbuffs.supercast.com. I'll put the link in the comment section below as well. I've been talking about the Jordan Seaton saga in there. I have a new coach that I have confirmed is joining the staff at a key position, and you guys won't want to miss that. So I will put that in there once I hit, I'll say 10 new members. So the new coach I will reveal as soon as I get those members. So hop in, $5 a month, or if you do the yearly fee, it comes out to $4 and something per month. So it's less than a coffee. And I think one of the best parts is, if you miss the video portion of my show, you can listen to my show on audio ad-free. So it's a really cool thing. We're going to have a lot of people hopping in there, hopping out of there. It's going to be super fun. I urge you guys to join. Okay. Let's talk Jordan Seaton. Took a visit to Mississippi State. I think that was solely out of respect for Phil Loadholt. I think that was like a, hey, I believe in you, you believed in me kind of thing. Obviously, Jordan Seaton was a 5-star, so I don't know how much belief he needed, but they built that relationship. He takes a visit to Mississippi State. I think Texas, we could say, is out of the mix. I just feel like I don't see them trending for Jordan Seaton that much anymore. But the two teams that I keep hearing about, LSU and Oregon. He took a trip to Baton Rouge, was with Lane Kiffin, was on the PJ, actually. I don't know whose PJ it was, but he was on the PJ. Was with Lane Kiffin visiting Tiger Stadium last night. I think it's called Tiger Stadium. With Lane Kiffin, I think it's his nephew. I don't think it's his young son. I don't know who the kid is. But LSU is reportedly expected to offer him $3 million plus. Obviously would be a part of an offense that you're playing with Sam Leavitt. You're playing with a lot of big name players that Lane Kiffin has got in the transfer portal. So I think if you're Jordan Seaton, it's very enticing, right? LSU has a very recent history of putting offensive linemen in the draft, or in the draft, first round. Will Campbell. And so it's interesting. I think LSU is kind of like, I would put them as the front runner from these teams. Oregon's next, and he was supposed to have a visit or dinner or something tonight, and I believe Oregon is next. Now, let's talk about Jordan Seaton coming back to Colorado. Is it a possibility? I think so. I think landing his cousin gives Colorado the best chance they've had at retaining Jordan Seaton. Now, a lot of people there's really two conspiracies for this, that Jordan Seaton's cousin simply came to play for Colorado because, like, hey, he was recruited by them. They ended up faring pretty well in his recruitment. Obviously went to Ohio State, but sometimes in this modern era of college football, it's better to be second than the team that lands some of these recruits, because if they don't see the field right away, they're going to leave and they're going to be like, okay, who do I have relationships with? And that's where familiarity comes into play. And so I think Colorado has a legitimate shot at simply just having him because he has relationships. Also, I think the other conspiracy, and this one's more fun, this is the one I like to roll with. Jordan Seaton, before he entered his name into the portal, quoted the tweet or the X post of his cousin, Jayvon, when he entered the portal and was like, hey, let's team up. And everyone was like, oh, Jordan Seaton's bringing his cousin to Colorado. Well, Jordan Seaton's now in the portal. So the conspiracy that I think a lot of people are really, maybe even call it wishful thinking, that a lot of people, Colorado fans, are riding with is Jordan Seaton got into the portal to sort of help Colorado bring in other guys, and he's going to come back, team up with his cousin, and Colorado's going to have one of the best offense lines in the country. Now, that one's really fun. I don't know if that's the case. I would love for that to be the case for Colorado fans. I don't know. I would give that like on Sunday, I gave it an 11% chance of happening. I'll give it a 15% chance of happening, right? I think him leaving LSU without a commitment is good news for Colorado. For every visit he takes and doesn't commit, or at least publicly, I guess he could have committed behind the scenes, but it would probably leak. But for every visit Jordan Seaton takes and doesn't commit, it gives Colorado that much better of a chance of him returning. Now, I'm not saying this is an exact science, and I'm not saying it's going to happen regardless if he doesn't commit after his Oregon visit, but there's a good chance, right? The more he visits other programs and doesn't commit on the spot, it leaves it open for other programs to land him. So that's all I will say on that. So I think Colorado has somewhat of a puncher's chance to land Jordan Seaton, but we will have to just wait and see. Okay, we're going to take another quick break, and when I come back, I'm going to tell you guys about some of my favorite transfers that Colorado's added and why I think a handful of them have a chance to make a real big impact. This episode of Locked on Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at TurboTax. Now, it's tax season. We all know tax season gets stressful, and it takes over your life, honestly, but it doesn't have to. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you could have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Let's talk about the portal additions that I like. Honestly, if I could grade Colorado's entire class, 42 guys, I would say they probably have a large chunk of starters in here, not just off of necessity, but just in general. I'd give this group an A, or at least an A- at worst. Like I think Colorado's hit needs. I think they're targeting new kinds of players where it's like, we want the hungry guys. We want the G5 FCS guys who were overlooked as recruits and have proven themselves. We want those guys. And I think Colorado is really setting themselves up to succeed. It's just a matter of how well these coaches are able to get the most out of these players. So I'm going to go 3 on offense, 3 on defense. And just because I don't name a guy as my favorite doesn't mean I don't support or love their addition. But let's start off with, I'll go defense. And this is just because he's fresh in my mind. Nate Mitchell. The dude is a ball of energy, first of all. I have an interview dropping with him tomorrow. You guys are going to want to check that out. The kid is he just has the right mindset. And honestly, he reminds me of Tafiq Byard. He told me that Coach Prime compared him to Shiloh in terms of how physical he plays. And it's on his tape. And Nate Mitchell has been overlooked his entire career. 0-star recruit who turned into an all-conference player and became one of the hottest commodities in the portal. I really expect him to sort of be the Tafiq Byard of this group in terms of I think a lot of people, he may fly under the radar for most, but Nate Mitchell, excuse me, he likes to be called Nate. I think that's the guy right there in the secondary that excites me a lot. Let's stay on. We'll go to the offensive side of the ball. This one really, this one jazzed me up. I like this one a lot. It's DeAndre Moore from Texas. I think DeAndre Moore, has been, I don't want to say it like that, but I feel like he's been a victim of a crowded room. And what I mean by that is Texas has had consistently brought in top transfers or other top recruits. But when you watch their games, it felt like DeAndre Moore was consistently the guy that Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning both went to when they needed a for sure completion. Like, that's just how I viewed it, right? The last year they had Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, and I wasn't impressed with Bond. And Matthew Golden was good, but I feel like DeAndre Moore was Mr. Consistency. This year they had Ryan Wingo, who was a 5-star recruit that they wanted to get a lot of touches to. And then they had Parker Livingston, who is Arch Manning's roommate, apparently. And both of those guys, Wingo and Livingston, struggled with drops. I think DeAndre Moore is Mr. Consistency, and I think in an expanded role could be one of the best wide receivers in the Big 12. So really excited about him. Okay, let's go back to the defensive side of the ball. I like Justin Eaglin a ton. Like, the kid is a playmaker. He was on a playoff team. He brings experience. I think if there was one guy who I thought would be who I think could be a starter right away in the secondary, it'd be him. I just like what he brings to the table. He's big, lengthy. I think he stands in at 6'1", 6'2". Like, I think he brings the size and everything that Colorado wants. We're going to go back to the offensive side of the ball because I think I feel like they went real heavy in the defense this portal cycle, and that's okay. They needed it. But we're going to stick with wide receiver here. Danny Scudero is, to me, the most electric wide receiver in the portal. Just a yards after the catch monster. Good luck bringing him down in open space. Led the country in receiving yards, just a stud, really. So Danny Scudero, obviously I went 2 wide receivers. Let's go back to the defense side of the ball. I'm really excited to see what Santana Hopper does from Tulane. A little bit undersized at 6'2", 265, but I think he has a lot of potential to be a game wrecker for Colorado. And then lastly, let's go offensive side of the ball here. Oof. I limited myself at 3, and I knew I was going to struggle with it because I'm just looking through some of these names, and I'm like, this is tough. This is tough. But I think a really interesting name that's not getting enough attention is Damian Henderson from Sac State. He was the second leading rusher for the Hornets, started his career at Colorado State, and gets another chance to prove like he could play at the FBS level. I think he's a hard runner, explosive runner. I think he's a big play waiting to happen. So I'm excited about Damian Henderson. And then lastly, for the defensive side of the ball to close this out, oh gosh, I hate doing this to myself. I hate limiting myself because I know how many guys I'm high on, but if I don't limit myself, I will just regret it. So I'm going to go Leon LaFau. Obviously, probably the biggest name that Colorado brought in this portal. Him and Boo Carter, I would say. And he was a starter for Texas. Started 20 consecutive games for a team that made the playoff. Really productive, energy guy. He's going to make plays in the backfield, and I think he's going to be a great leader, and I think he's going to solve a lot of the problems that Colorado has. So you guys comment below, who's your favorite ad, right? You can get 1 to 2 just to keep it fun. But if you want to comment the entire class, that's fine too. I would love to see all 42 names in the comment section. So I appreciate all you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and I'll see all of you tomorrow.